The Anthony Stolarz deal. Listen, I know that goaltending, it's very rare that goaltenders really, ring the bell. And there have been some, and we think of, Igor Shesterkin has, really rung the bell as far as, financial compensation. I like this deal. 4-year deal of $15 million, 3.75 is the AAV. He's their top dog, and they got him locked up at a really good number. I know if Nick Alberga was with us right now, he'd say, that leaves a lot of money for McDavid, Marek. That leaves a lot of money for McDavid. But what did you make of the Stolarz deal?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the number was going to look like. I had an idea of what it would be, and it was higher than he ended up signing for. I thought he could maybe get 5 if he wanted to get gritty with it. I didn't want to see a holdout. I didn't want to see a distraction. I didn't want to see a bunch of media asking every day, excuse me, about the contract and where they're at in negotiations. All of a sudden, boom, it's done. And at 3.75 a year, you look at his numbers. I know he hasn't been a number one goalie for 10 straight years, but he hasn't had the opportunity to do it. And he seems to be able to, adjust his mindset accordingly. And here was a huge test. You're basically the number one with real good support. You could call them, sharing the number one role, but I thought Stoley was the number one goalie. His numbers were unreal. You're on the stage in Toronto. That market has chewed up and spit out so many goaltenders over the last 25 years. It's shocking. So it's a difficult job. And Stoley handled it wonderfully. I think he's got the mind for it, and he's proven himself. His numbers are way better than other goaltenders that he's going to make now less than. So I think it's a great deal for the Leafs. And, I dare I say that it seems like there's a pattern of players on the Maple Leafs taking team-friendly deals in order to stay in Toronto and have a chance at something. So it tells me that the belief inside of the players, which you're never going to get their honest opinion, they're always going to give you the fluff. But when they put, rubber on the pavement by signing these contracts, it tells me, hey, I want to be here. And that's pretty refreshing, because for the past 5-10 years, it has been nothing but, oh my God, did you see that number the guy signed? And, you look at Kyle Dubas, he seemed to give them the world every time the contract rolled around, to giving them max everything and no trade clauses and everything else. And it seems like there's a little bit of a pivot point with Tree Living, and I can't say enough about what he's done at the helm.
The thing about Stolarz too is when you talk to all the goalie people, like, they've been barking about Stolarz going back to when he played in Anaheim, and it's like, don't sleep on Stolarz. And then Florida, and he's like, don't sleep on Stolarz. Like, somewhere this guy's going to be a number one, kind of like with Kevin Lankinen. In Kevin Lankinen's, like, all the goalie fraternity be like, everyone's sleeping on Kevin Lankinen, and then bam. He, how much of Vancouver's season did Kevin Lankinen salvage last year? Anthony Stolarz was the same way. It seems like he was a guy that was just, everybody's waiting for the team to give that guy the chance. And the weird thing about it is, generally, it's not the big market teams that gives a guy like that the chance, because everything has to be, there has to be a long track record. We're a heritage organization. This is going to be tough to sell to everybody here, but they did, and it's paid off beautifully for the Toronto Maple Leafs here.
Yeah, it has. And Stoley, you can't knock him for not being a number one so far. What did you want him to do? Just snap his fingers and be the number one in front
Hey,
of
John Gibson out. Hey, Bobrovsky out.
Doesn't happen, right? And a lot of goaltending situations, if you talk to him, it's opportunity, and you got to be patient, and you got to make the most of the opportunity that you have, and take your games and take your minutes, and just work on your numbers and work on your game while you're backing up. And you can't force something. You're not going to turn down an opportunity to play on the Florida Panthers, but you're going to back up Bobrovsky, and he likes to play a lot. So you wait for your time, and when the sun shines, you got to make hay, and that's exactly what Stolarz has done. And if you pay attention to the Maple Leafs, when he's in net, he's a big body, he moves well, his angles are good, and he's very calm. Like, there could be a mayhem scramble in the D zone, and he's just turning them aside calmly, like it's the first couple of shots of practice. And he has this calming presence that I think reverberate to the defensemen and the rest of the team as well. And by all accounts, it seems like they're really comfortable with him between the pipes. And that's not to take anything away from Joseph Woll. He has some of the same things as well. But while we're talking about Stoley, if you watch him, has a very calm demeanor in there. And the big body, he just moves well, and it seems to not lose his position very often. I think he had a really good tenure so far in Toronto, and I expect him to pick up right where he left off.
One final goalie issue here. If I am the Toronto Maple Leafs, I am not signing James Reimer. I'm saying I'm going to go with Hildeby, And whenever Joseph Woll comes back is when he comes back. I don't understand the rush to Reimer's on a PTO. Got to sign him as soon as possible. What's wrong with playing Hildeby? What am I missing here?
I don't think you're missing anything, but it costs them literally nothing to bring in Reimer. I don't know.
That's fine. That's fine. But like the rush to they have to sign him, and he's got to play all these. Why?
I don't
Why?
think
There's
they
goalies that are
do.
there.
And as they're on their retreat right now up to the Muskokas to do some team building, which you kind of bring mostly your final roster there. James Reimer's not there. He's with the Marlies squad right now. So I don't know what's going to happen with them, but they've been very tight-lipped about Joseph Woll. Something personal is going on, so I'm not going to speculate. I don't know how long that's going to be. I can't imagine a long time. Did they have to go out and get someone? No. Did they kind of cover some bases and maybe bring in a familiar face who's been in that market who they may or may not use? Okay, yes. But Hildeby has shown to be pretty good. Is it time for him to maybe step up and get an opportunity to be in the NHL and to be that guy while Woll is there? I also agree with you. Why not, right? Why not? But so far with that PTO, costs them nothing, covers a base, gives them a layer of support there. Whether they sign him or not, I haven't really seen them thinking they're really rushing and need to sign him right away. But to me, it's just kind of a layer of comfort having that PTO there, give him a chance to come in. He's a familiar with the market. But if they end up going with Hildeby, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be surprised, and I think it could turn out well. And for Hildeby personally, what an opportunity to dip your toe in the water, and that's what happens with goalies. You get an opportunity, you got to make the most of it. So maybe he will be that guy. We'll see what happens with Reimer.